Hello, this is Coach McCoy. I'm going to try to go through a little bit. I usually do this earlier, but I wanted to put it out there for you. We're going to be dealing with complex numbers, imaginary numbers, but basically all the numbers that we deal with, they fall into something that's called the complex number system. Okay, and if you think about it, we're going to start with natural numbers. Okay, if you imagine yourself, back in or sometimes they're called counting numbers because, back in the day when they first started using numbers, what did they do? They had to count their sheep, right? And they would kind of set rocks aside for each sheep, and that each rock represented the number of sheep when they let them out, and then when they came back in, they'd move the rocks back over, and then that way they'd know if one was missing. So the counting numbers of the real numbers are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on and so forth. Then we come along and it's like, okay, well, what happens if we have nothing? Okay, we needed something to represent nothing. And so we added 0 to the natural numbers, and that gives us whole numbers. So the reason I have the arrows going up, all natural numbers are whole numbers. Okay. And then, all right, so we got something to represent 0, and then we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on. Oh, and then all of a sudden, we start having money, or what happens if we owe somebody something, and so we're in the negative, kind of like me all the time, in the negative. So if we add the negative numbers to the whole numbers, we get the integers. Okay, so -1, -2, -3, and then also including 0, 1, 2, 3. So the integers are made up of the natural numbers and the whole numbers, and then the negative, and you could say negative whole numbers, which is not technically mathematically correct, but it kind of gets what we say. And then, then we come into a situation, well, what about fractions? What's in between 0 and 1? When you get into money, you got $1.35. You can write that. That's a fraction, a decimal. So that gives us lead to the rational numbers. So if you take the natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, and then you put in fractions, you get rational numbers. Rational numbers, by definition, is any number that can be written as a fraction. 5. That's a rational number because you can write 5 as 5 over 1. You can write it as 10 over 2, 15 over 3, whatever, 6.5, anything, rational numbers. So in looking at that, then from rational numbers, we have irrational numbers. So if any number that can be written as a fraction is a rational number, then irrational numbers would be any number that can't be written as a fraction. And you think, well, what are those? Well, that's something, the square root of 2, square root of 5, pi, 3.142, and then e. E is the value of the natural logarithm, and it occurs naturally within, our system. And so, so if we look at this, natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, and fractions make up the rational numbers. Now, irrational, that's just this group. You can't write it as a fraction. So natural number is never irrational or anything like that. And so then the rational numbers and the irrational numbers, they make up the real numbers. All right. And a definition for real numbers is any number that can be placed on the number line. See, we can put, pi, square root of 5, we can graph that and we can put it down there somewhere. And so we can actually see those numbers. We know what those numbers are. We can't, we're not going to round it off. I actually saw a thing where they took pi out to like 2 million places. And, pi is the relationship between the diameter of a circle and its circumference. So that's the real numbers, any number that can be placed on the number line. So then what about numbers that can't be placed on the number line? They're called imaginary numbers. Okay. Any number that can't be placed on the number line. And that's where we come in with I. Okay. And we deal with that imaginary number. So the real numbers and imaginary numbers, make up the complex number system. And we're going to be talking about what imaginary numbers here in lesson 2-4. So just a little extra bit for you, and hope it helps a little bit just to see that.